నమస్తే, వెల్కమ్ టు సుమన్ టీవీ. జై భీమ్ ఈ మాట ఇప్పుడు హాట్ టాపిక్ గా మారిపోయింది. హీరో సూర్య లాయర్ గా నటించిన జై భీమ్ సినిమా ఒక నిజ జీవిత కథ ఆధారంగా తీసింది. నిజ జీవితంలో ఆ కేసుని డీల్ చేసింది తమిళనాడు మాజీ జస్టిస్ చంద్రు గారే. కమ్యూనిస్టు భావాలు పుణికిపుచ్చుకుని ప్రజల కష్టాలను చూసి లా చదివి ఎన్నో కేసుల్లో ఒక్క రూపాయి కూడా ఫీజు లేకుండా వాదించి నిజాలను బయటకు తీసి ఎంతో మందికి న్యాయం చేసిన ఓ మాజీ జడ్జి కథ. ఒక అడ్వకేట్ గా, ఒక జడ్జ్ గా 96,000 కేసెస్ ను డీల్ చేసిన ఆ గొప్ప వ్యక్తి మనతో మాట్లాడేందుకు, ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఇచ్చేందుకు అంగీకరించారు. వారు ప్రస్తుతం లైవ్ కాల్ లో జాయిన్ అవుతున్నారు. సుమన్ టీవీ ఎక్స్క్లూజివ్ గా మాజీ జస్టిస్ చంద్రు గారి ఇంటర్వ్యూను మీకు అందిస్తోంది. ఇంకెందుకు ఆలస్యం, వారితో మాట్లాడదాం. చంద్రు గారు, నమస్కారం సార్.
నమస్కారం.
ఐఎమ్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ అండ్ ప్రౌడ్ టు టాక్ టు యూ సార్. హౌ ఆర్ యూ సార్?
Thank you. I'm also very happy to talk to Telugu people, though I don't know the language very much.
Do you know Telugu, sir?
Andhra was part of Madras, therefore there are a lot of Telugu words are used in conversation.
So what's the reason that made you to do law?
Nobody is born as a lawyer unless you got some family members studying law or your relatives. Then after finishing a school, everybody wants to go to an engineer or doctor in our days. I also went for a MBBS interview. I did not get selected. Then I went for a degree course in botany. But instead of doing botany, I was doing politics. I joined a left party. I was working for the party for some time. Later, I realized that doing law, you can do more politics. Therefore, I joined law. Not as a career, but as a student politics. It was better to be in law college than in any other college. Once I went to the law college, I was a very serious student. I never absented myself, even though I was very active in student movement. I studied thoroughly the law. I was also college first in my final degree. And after finishing law, I decided to practice law as a lawyer because at that time there was a national emergency. During 75 to 77, number of political leaders were arrested under the MISA, Maintenance of Internal Security Act. There was dearth of lawyers to fight the case of common people. I also decided to practice law. That is how I landed up in law course.
Sir, what was the incident that disturbed you so much when you were an advocate?
Every day there are incidents to either upset you or to fight for. Once you are a very activist lawyer, you may get cases from all corners of the state concerning the common people, mostly their miseries. So when disturbance means if you want to get disturbed, you will be disturbed on an everyday basis. But then if you want to be very casual, then you may ignore all these incidents. But then we were dealing with the case of the poor people, the tribal people, the scheduled caste people and the marginalized people. So when case comes from them, every case affects you because it is a misery and their plight is heartrending. Therefore, I will say that a lawyer life, that too an activist lawyer life, is a disturbance on a day-to-day basis.
Sir, were there any attacks on you when you are arguing behalf of the poor?
There are many lawyers who are practicing at the lower court, magistrate courts and municip court in villages, taluk centers. They are under physical threat. But if you are a high court lawyer and also a well-known lawyer, that kind of a attack you may not anticipate here. And I did not face any direct physical attack, though sometimes there might have been some threat calls or threatening letters, which we always learn to ignore. Since I had a long political background as a student activist, as a trade union leader, I did not face any threat like this, and I was never afraid of any threat. Even as a judge, I said there is no police protection for me. There was no security officer accompanying me with a revolver. I dispensed with all that. According to me, a man can die only once. And if somebody wants to finish you off, they can finish you off. And you can't be dying every day by fear. Therefore, I said no security. And in my career, I have never faced a threat in that sense of the word threat. There might have been some veiled threats which I've learned to ignore.
Chandra sir, did you watch the JB movie?
Yes, I very much. In fact, I was there right from the conception of the story and the development of the story step by step, including court scene dialogues, till the end of making the subtitles. I was there, connected with them. I was occasionally going to the studio and also the outdoor shooting, and therefore many times the film crew took my help in understanding the court proceedings.
Sir, Jai Bhim's story and Sinitalli incident, where did it took place, sir?
This incident took place in 28 years before, but even as a lawyer, I used to write in magazines about this story. But as usual, the print media never draws attention. But after my retirement, I met the director and we both went to the place where this incident took place. I had told him the story in detail. I had also showed him the places. Then he was interested. Then he collected all the documents relating to the story and then started preparing a screenplay. Then he went into fully making a screen movie with dialogues, scene by scene depiction. Later, Surya got interested in the story, and also later he also agreed to act as the lawyer in the film. When he agreed to act in the film, the prestige of the film little went up because he was not an ordinary actor. He has a mass following and is a well-known actor in South India. Therefore, his inclusion or his agreeing to act also increased the tempo of the film. So the first time I met was Mr. Gnanavel some 2 years ago, and then from then onwards, last 2 years, he is single-handedly working with great difficulty. I think he is the one who put heavy work on this picture to become successful. It was his idea. The case was only one part of the film, but he wanted to bring in the lawyer's role and the background of the lawyer, then also have a message about the larger aspect of the tribal people, their living, their lifestyle, their eating habit, and their struggle against police repression, their forming an association. So it was a combination of several factors which was conceived by him, and he was instrumental. But for his hard work, the film would not have been successful at all.
Sir, can you say few words about Surya, sir? What's your opinion on him?
Yeah, Surya has been acting in different hero-oriented films. This is the first film he came to act, not to show his heroism or a superhero role. He was willing to act in a very modest way, life of a lawyer, without expressing much heroic acts. So that itself is a big issue because every hero in a film wants to show him as a Superman, and that did not happen in this case. Even court dialects, if you see in many films in Telugu, Tamil, the lawyers will be shouting at each other, judges will be shown as a joker, and then
Yes.
in the High Court, such things are not tolerated. Lawyers will have to speak very in a low voice, and no cross-fighting, and judges are very serious, and very few words are exchanged. So in that sense, it was a new role for him, and he agreed to act. He did not know that at that time, agreeing for such a role, it was a big sacrifice because no hero will sacrifice to play a role of an ordinary lawyer. But here, Surya agreed, and really the film came out very well because first time it shows the proceedings in a high court. Even the court hall was recreated in a studio, and the exact details of this court hall was shown, and the language used in the court is shown. The dialects is also that of a high court proceedings. So it was a new depiction of a lawyer, and finally the end product came out very well because for the first time people also saw what goes on in the court. Normally films do not show the typical representation of a court. They have their own imagination. This is the first film. It also realistically shows how a court proceedings go on and how habeas corpus matters are argued. All this came out very well, and Surya was also large-hearted to act without knowing the outcome. The outcome is now fantastic. The trends are very bright, and the movie has received good attention.
Sir, is there any case has bothered you so much since you became a judge?
When you say botheration, We become a judge only by giving consent to become a judge. Therefore, we'll have to do the role of a judge. So the botheration is that the general feeling that courts are all delaying. When I assumed office as a judge, there were nearly 6.5 lakh cases pending in the High Court, some 3.5 crore cases pending in the all over the country. So the pendency or the backlog is one of the sick botheration. The second is always the lawyers strike. For everything they go on a strike, and then the court workers stop. As it is, we are not working full year. Even like school children, we also work only about 180 to 200 days in a year, which means half the year we don't work. Thirdly, that lawyers take adjournments as they like, which also really disturbs the continuity of court proceeding. There are also several other factors like scientific methods are not introduced. Lawyers are arguing without having time regard. There are many issues, and judges don't spend enough time delivering judgments. Even judgments are delivered, copies are not available. Then there is a 2-3 tier appeal, first court, second court, third court. So generally people are dissatisfied that even though it's an institution to deliver justice, but there is a constrained delay in matters. So justice delayed is also justice denied. It is in that sense what bothered me most was the huge pendency of the litigation in court, and majority of the litigation relate to poor people, tribal people, workers, agriculturists, small peasants, tenants. So if you are going to delay, they will soon look for alternative method of solving. There are so many what is called as Gangaru courts. Some bigwigs decide matters in a local area, and it is something in Tamil called Natu Panchayat, Kata Panchayat. So these things should not allow to be developed, and the court must be vibrant and may be able to deliver goods immediately and timely, and then the faith in the court will also increase. Therefore, the botheration was the large-scale pendency in courts.
Sir, what's the advice you want to give to the students who are doing law now?
There are two advice I can think. Like judges, we were told by our Chief Justice Kapadia, all judges should work like a horse, live like a hermit. I took that advice seriously. I worked like a horse, 18 hours per day, and I also lived like a hermit. My requirements were very poor. I did not spend much time going to very functions, addressing meetings. During my judgeship, I fully concentrate on my work. So far as lawyers are concerned, what is important is not a six-pack body to exhibit or to fight in a match, but
Yes.
what is required is a sharpness of the six sounds brain. If you keep it sharp, and if you are knowledgeable on law, if you are able to considerate for the poor, I think you can help the poor of this country. The lawyers should not think always money is the criteria. Without money, they must be able to do service. Of course, their existence is important, but rendering service to a country like ours, where there are a large number of poor people with problems, is also essential requirement. Therefore, the young lawyers should work for the poor, unmindful of the returns they may get, and they should fight fearlessly, whether it is a politician or a big landlord or a big capitalist. They should not be afraid of them. They should not be afraid of the social oppressors. And when they fight, they should fight fearlessly. Fearlessly, I mean the other side may be a big lawyer with a very big standing in the profession, or the judge may be very intimidatory, or he may be corrupt. In all the circumstances, he should not give up his faith in the legal system. And I think this case where Surya, acting like a lawyer, sends one message that despite adverse circumstances, despite not having enough resources to fight, he fights for a woman, a tribal woman, and gives them a very big victory. And that is a message the film wants to show. And that is all the message I want to give it to the lawyers.
Chandra sir, is there any regrets in your life, sir?
When I became a student leader, or a practicing lawyer, or a designated senior advocate, or a judge, I never had any regrets. Each time I willingly, consciously accepted such designations, and I worked as a judge to the fullest satisfaction. Even there may be people having grievance, but to my knowledge, I had fulfilled my work, my discharged my duties faithfully, honestly, and in terms of the constitutional limitation imposed on a judge. I was happy to be a judge, and I have no regrets of becoming a judge.
Sir, there will be a possibility to deal with the most of the cases easily when the police department and the judiciary system come and work together. Is it possible in nowadays in the current situation, sir?
The three wings of the government, namely the executive, legislature, and judiciary, they are three wings of the state. One has to work in close harmony with the others. They should not work for cross purpose. In fact, after the Jai Bhim was shown to our Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, and his wife was also there, both of them saw the film, and he was very impressed with the film, and he wrote a letter. If only there is a honest officer, a conscious lawyer, and an honest judiciary, then many of the injustices can be arrested. I think I strongly feel, though the system may be very disappointing or degenerating, but if there are individuals who may work selflessly, who may also belong to any one of the branch of the government, I think if they all come together, it can done miracles. I'm not saying they can change the society, they can bring a new order, but within the existing society, they may be able to do many good things. And it is something like if a man is thirsty, you give him a glass of water. You don't tell him you wait for a new water project from Nagarjuna Sagar, water will come. You don't tell him. He wants immediately a glass of water. So the judicial system is more or less getting some interim relief for the common people within the bounds of law. But if you want to have a fundamental change, I do not think that will come from court or by law. A law is an instrument to fight for justice within the bounds of law. I think within the system, the corrupt people should not eat up the system. The honest people must be able to stand up against such practices and work for the common man through spirit.
Sir, are you still in the Communist Party?
I was ceased to be a Communist Party member in 1988. Now, nearly 33 years have gone, and I have not joined any political party. I also have faith in certain ideology in the sense that it can understand the society better rather than having a vague understanding. This ideology gave me insight into the society, and that helped me today. I will not regret for being a communist once upon a time, but at the same time, I do not belong to any political party.
Sir, what was the very first case that you had taken up, sir?
When you say case means several things. A man advising a person whether he has got a case at all, then sending representation to some authority, then filing a petition in the court, at the lowest court, then higher court, then Supreme Court. So there are different stages of case. But what is a significant case after my becoming a lawyer was when during emergency time, many political leaders were detained in Madras Central Jail and they were tortured by the jail officials and there was nobody to question. It was at that time I became a lawyer. I went to the jail to meet them. Then government refused permission to meet them, even as a lawyer. Then I moved the High Court and asked the High Court to direct the government to permit me. So my first victory was to get interview of the prisoners in the jail. The second was I went to the jail and saw horrible conditions in which they were treated. This I was complained to the authorities. Later there was a commission of inquiry by a judge of the High Court, Justice Ismail Commission. Ismail Commission, I appeared for the prisoners and also established that prisoners were ill-treated. And the commission gave a report accepting my stand, accepting my documents produced, the evidence produced, and that became my first human rights case in the court as a young lawyer.
Sir, do you watch movies or may I know what are your hobbies are?
After I became a judge, I hardly watch any film. But after retirement, once in a while, some good movies I watch. But because I have a hearing problem, I do not watch. Mostly I read books. and I'm fond of reading my books. And I also write on very many newspapers and write books, and also give lectures in national law universities in several parts of India and some law colleges. And I also train judges in our judicial academy. I also go for lectures in Bhopal.
Chandra sir, who's your inspiration, sir?
My inspiration at different levels are different people. In judiciary, my inspiration was Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer. In fact, when the court hall scene was made as exactly like the Madras High Court, if you see one portrait in that court hall, that will be the portrait of Justice Krishna Iyer. And that was put because of my suggestion. Krishna Iyer was not a judge of the Madras High Court, though he was in Madras, he studied in Madras Law College, but he became a Kerala High Court judge, then he became a Supreme Court judge. He was a towering personality who was inspiring many lawyers, many judges also, and my inspiration came from him. So, like a guru, I put his picture in the setting in the court scene, found in the scene. He was my mentor and role model, and he also worked for my judgeship. He's the one who said I should become a judge. He also told our Chief Justice Subhashan Reddy, who came from Andhra Pradesh, that he should make Chandru a judge. And Subhashan Reddy, Chief Justice, recommended my name, but that did not work. So from 2001 till 2006, I was not made a judge. In 2006, I was made a judge. In that process, I lost about 6 years of becoming a judge. But in 2006, I became a judge, despite several opposition from others. And mainly, the thanks go to Justice Krishna Iyer, who put the idea into my head and who was also guiding me from away. Even though he was away, he always writes 2 letters, and I am proud to call him as my mentor.
Sir, we have noticed some quotations on the board at your office entrance. Could you please elaborate about those quotations?
See, when you become a judge, everybody brings a fruit, an apple, one orange, then they bring a bouquet or a flower, then they put a shawl. And this is a very bad practice from British days, and it continues. So everybody comes, you will have one basket full of apples, one big box of the shawls, which is no use at all for these things. People waste money on fancies. So I put a board saying, there is no God here, no flowers. Nobody is hungry, no flowers. Nobody is shivering, no shawls. This I exhibited in my chamber room, and my peon will tell them, sir, please read this and go and see the judge. So from then onwards, nobody brings any of these things. Some bad practice I was able to bring an end. So far as my chamber is concerned, I am not about other judges, but whatever I feel bad or pernicious practice, I stop that practice. Even lawyers cannot address me as my lord, and all judges used to have one person carrying a silver mace in front of him when he goes to court and comes back. I stopped that practice. In the car, they'll give a red light. I said no. So there are many things which colonial practice I have stopped in my court. And I also, at the time of my swearing in, I gave my property statement. On the day I left the court, I gave my final property statement. The last day I gave my car at the end to the High Court and came by an electric train to my house. So these are something which is very, which is expected of everybody, which I did the same time. I'm not did anything new, but I did something which is necessary for this society.
So what is your opinion upon the poor and lower caste group of people?
When you say opinion, what opinion anybody can have? They are so deprived, marginalized by the community, and are not having equality. We are having 1.130 crores in this country, and 1/5 of the population, we do not treat them equally. They are discriminated with the completely in this society, deprived of economic resource, deprived of education, deprived of social status. Therefore, if at all this country has to emancipate, become strong, it doesn't require the missiles and arms. It requires the community should have a single, a comprehensive, a composite society, and not fragmented society. You can't discriminate people on the basis of their birth or religion or language or any of them combined together or sex. you can't discriminate on the basis. That is what Article 15 emphasizes in our Constitution. Article 14 talks about equality before law. Article 15 talks about non-discrimination of several factors. If this constitutional vision envisaged in our constitution by the great constitution maker Dr. Ambedkar, I think many of the problems may disappear. But we have very beautifully written laws, but it doesn't percolate to the bottom. We still have discrimination. A Dalit cannot have access to land. Dalit cannot have access to the road. He does not have a proper shelter, and he does not even have a burial ground. And therefore, from birth to death, a Dalit is discriminated, which can never happen in any country. In America, they abolished slavery, they abolished racism, and even though it was abolished by constitution, in practice also, the society largely is not racist. But in our country, we still have caste discrimination. We have Article 17, which abolished untouchability in all forms, but we still practice untouchability in different forms. Maybe it is not there in big cities like Hyderabad or Amaravati, but it is there in every village in this country. Even in our villages, we have tea shops where there are two tumbler systems are there, one for the Dalit, one for the others. When exactly they are not allowed to enter the temple, they are not allowed to pray the God in the same sanctorum. This may not be there in big temples in cities, but in the rural areas, the caste discrimination is widely prevalent. And I think even in Tamil Nadu, some places where they put a wall also in between the two habitats. I think the greatest service we will do is to implement Article 15 and 16 and bring an egalitarian society, envisage what Mahatma Gandhi called as Ramarajya. Does not mean Ram's rule, but it is an egalitarian society that we need in this country.
Sir, we know that you have achieved great heights in this field, sir. Other than that, do you have any other dream which is yet to be fulfilled?
I am doing what I am doing all these years. I am doing some community service in my area. Okay. I worked in a school. I worked in a welfare hostel. I write books. I travel and give lectures. So I'll continue to do till my last breath. If somebody wants some help in a film, also like the Jai Bhim, I help them to take the film by recalling the story of the Raja Kannu and Parvati. There are many more Raja Kannu and Parvati. There are many more stories. You will see the number of books behind me. Each book contains at least a 20 story. And you may have, from the court itself, you may have some 2,000, 3,000 stories like this. But you can't take a film on every day on Raja Kannu and Parvati. I think the filmmakers must also be more realistic and inward, see the society and portray them, rather than showing fancy shows or a fighting scenes or an unbelievable love scene. They should also portray the plight of the poor people.
Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time for us, sir, by joining the live call. Namaste, sir.